Ever wondered who actually decides if you can get insurance?
And how much it'll cost you.
Yeah.
Buckle up because today,
We're diving deep into the world of insurance risk consultants.
the masterminds behind those decisions.
All right.
You've sent over some really interesting stuff from RoleCatcher.
That's a platform that helps people figure out their career paths,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to break down what it takes to get into this field.
It's a surprisingly dynamic field.
It is. It's really interesting. A lot more to it than people realize.
I know, right? When I hear insurance, I think paperwork.
Jargon, cubicles,
Yeah.
not really high earning potential.
Or an exciting place to work.
But RoleCatcher showed a different side to it.
They're saying this role is way more than just numbers.
Yeah, you're not just stuck behind a desk. So,
Let's unpack it.
okay.
What does an insurance risk consultant actually do every day?
So imagine like a financial detective.
For insurance companies,
Yeah.
that's basically what these consultants are.
They look at potential risks, all kinds of risks.
From houses and cars to businesses,
Wow.
even huge construction sites.
Okay.
So they figure out how likely something is to go wrong.
It's kind of like what? Predicting the future of financial risk?
Exactly, yeah.
They go to these places.
They do these really thorough surveys.
They're analyzing tons of data
Then they put together detailed reports.
for insurance underwriters.
Okay.
And those reports, that's what the underwriters use.
To decide if they'll insure someone or something.
And then how much to charge them.
That's a big deal.
They have a lot of influence over who gets coverage
Yeah.
and how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful position for sure.
It directly impacts people's lives,
Or
businesses.
how well they do financially.
Right. It's not just saying yes or no to insurance.
And it's bigger than that.
It is. It's really about understanding all those little things about risk
Knowing the hazards.
and then advising people on how to reduce those risks.
This is really interesting.
Because RoleCatcher
Each of
mentioned
these consultants.
they could be working in normal insurance offices. Yeah.
Sure.
But also at real estate companies,
Mhm.
construction sites,
Yeah.
even working remotely.
So it's not just being stuck at a desk all day.
No, definitely not.
A lot of people are surprised by that, you know?
They think it's all just paperwork,
Right.
but it can be really varied, even field work.
Wow.
You might be out inspecting a building one day,
Then the next you're analyzing data.
building risk models,
It's a real mix. Analytical thinking,
communication, problem solving.
and often in situations that change all the time.
I mean, that's a far cry from the stereotype, right?
Like someone shuffling papers in a cubicle.
Yeah.
That kind of energy must attract a certain type of person.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone who likes variety, who likes challenges.
Yeah, this isn't a career for someone who's not ready to work,
You need a certain mix, technical skills,
but also people skills, you know,
and a real passion for this stuff, for understanding risk.
and knowing how to manage it. Okay, we've talked about how this job is definitely not boring.
But let's get real. What about the rewards?
What's the payoff for dealing with all this risk?
You mean like what's in it for them?
Exactly.
The RoleCatcher talks about the good stuff and the bad,
Right.
the perks, the downsides.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what do you think? Is it all hype?
Or is it really as good as it sounds?
Well, I mean, the first thing people always want to know about is money.
Right.
How much can you actually earn in this field?
And RoleCatcher's right, the earning potential is high.
Oh, okay.
It's not just, some empty promise.
We're talking about salaries that are way above average,
Seriously.
even for people just starting out.
Yeah, even at the entry level.
That's pretty impressive.
Can you tell me more about that? Why is it so high?
It's all about the value they bring.
These consultants aren't just managing risk.
Right.
They're making sure things are financially stable.
For people and for whole companies.
And their expertise, that's what directly impacts the company's bottom line.
Okay, so
That translates to better salaries, better benefits.
that's good.
Makes sense.
It's not all about money, though.
Right.
RoleCatcher's right about that, too.
They talked about job security.
As a big plus.
Oh, absolutely.
The insurance industry, it's built on this idea
Of dealing with risk.
uncertainty. Those are constants. They're always there.
Yeah, that's true.
Because of that,
There's always going to be a need for these skills.
you're always going to need someone to assess the risk.
Exactly. Even when the economy's bad,
Oh, interesting.
people and businesses, they still need that protection.
So,
It's a stable career.
yeah,
Not like other fields that are up and down all the time.
right.
Okay, so we've got good earning potential.
Good job security. That's reassuring, especially these days.
Oh,
RoleCatcher mentions the downsides, too.
right.
They said something about high-stress, long hours.
Yeah, well, that comes with the territory.
When you're in a fast-paced environment,
And you're making decisions that have a big impact
there's always going to be some stress.
because things could go wrong.
Exactly. You're dealing with risk, so there's always that possibility.
And then you've got deadlines, unexpected problems.
Clients who need things yesterday.
That sounds stressful.
Yeah, can lead to some long hours sometimes.
So work-life balance.
That's something to think about.
Definitely, especially when you're first starting out.
Okay.
It's not unusual to put in the extra time.
Especially if you're ambitious,
Makes sense, but
but it's not impossible to manage.
as you get more experience, you learn to prioritize.
Right, you get better at managing your time.
And delegating, learning to let go of things.
That's important too.
So you can have a life outside of work.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, this job isn't all stress and long hours, right?
No, not at all.
RoleCatcher also talked about how intellectually stimulating it is.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just going through the motions.
You're constantly using your brain. Analyzing, solving problems, learning new things all the time.
Wow. That's
It keeps you on your toes.
You have to be adaptable. You have to be curious.
Always trying to understand these complex systems.
And what about the risks themselves?
Yeah, those two.
They're always changing.
Exactly. There's always something new to figure out.
You need a certain mindset to do well in this kind of job.
Absolutely.
It's more than just technical skills.
Yeah.
You got to be analytical, detail-oriented,
Mm-hmm.
but also calm under pressure.
You got it.
Because that's how you deal with risk
Yeah.
effectively.
Right. It's about having the right temperament.
You can be great with numbers.
But you also have to be able to communicate that
That makes sense.
because you're explaining complex stuff to clients.
Yeah, to people who might not understand all the details.
So you got to be clear, concise.
Absolutely. Make it make sense to them.
So it's a balance.
You need the analytical skills
Yeah,
and you need the people skills.
exactly.
Because you're not just crunching numbers alone, you're building relationships too.
That's a big part of it.
You're providing advice, insights.
Right, building trust. That's key.
It's more than just data.
It's about connecting with people, understanding their concerns.
Making them feel like you've got their back.
So we've got good pay, job security,
Yeah.
intellectually stimulating.
But what about making a difference?
Does this job give you a sense of purpose?
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it. These consultants, they play a vital role.
They're protecting people, businesses, even whole communities
Wow.
from financial hardship.
They're making sure people have what they need to rebuild their lives.
After something unexpected happens.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and businesses, they need help too.
To weather the storm, so to speak.
So they can keep going, keep thriving.
It's about making things more stable, more resilient.
Exactly.
That's got to feel good,
Oh, it does.
knowing you're making a difference.
There's a real sense of purpose in that.
So let's say someone's listening to this.
And they're thinking, this sounds like my kind of job.
So,
What do they actually need to do to get there?
RoleCatcher really emphasizes education. They mention certain degrees that line up well with this field.
What are some of those?
Well, you definitely need a solid base.
A bachelor's degree is really important.
Okay.
And there are a few majors that come to mind.
Risk management, for one.
Okay, that makes sense.
Insurance, of course.
Finance is another good one.
Those programs usually cover all the basics.
So like risk assessment, right?
Exactly.
Insurance principles, financial analysis.
Those are the building blocks.
That makes sense, but RoleCatcher also mentions something interesting.
They highlighted data-heavy fields.
Oh, okay.
Things like statistics, actuarial science.
Right.
I wouldn't have necessarily connected those to insurance. So,
Why are those important?
well, the industry is changing, you know,
It's not just about gut feelings anymore.
or looking at what happened in the past.
Okay.
It's all about data now,
Insurance companies have so much data.
and they're using it
Yeah, they have to. It's the only way to be accurate.
to really understand the risks.
So a strong analytical background, that's essential now.
It's not even an option anymore. It's mandatory.
Wow.
But it's not just about the numbers themselves.
You have to be able to make sense of them.
Okay.
Find the patterns, the things that don't fit.
The red flags, you know.
Right, because those could mean something big.
Exactly. That's where the real insight comes from.
And then you have to be able to explain all that.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
Because the numbers don't mean anything.
If you can't communicate what they mean.
Exactly. You have to make it clear, actionable.
Okay, so we've got the education part down.
But what about the skills?
RoleCatcher goes beyond just be good at math.
Right.
They really emphasized communication as a key skill,
It's huge. Yeah.
which makes sense. But
It seems like this field is all about numbers.
it's easy to think that, yeah.
So why is communication so important?
Because at the end of the day,
You're talking to people,
you're explaining complicated stuff.
like risks, probabilities. Yeah.
Well-
And most clients, they don't speak that language.
They're not experts in insurance.
Exactly. So you have to be the translator.
You have to break it down for them.
Make it simple, make it clear.
Build trust because they need to understand.
It's about more than just the information.
Right.
It's about connecting with them on a human level.
So it's really about bridging that gap between data and human understanding.
Exactly. And that's where communication comes in.
You're building confidence through clarity.
Exactly. And don't forget about interpersonal skills.
Oh, right. RoleCatcher mentioned those too.
You're not working at a vacuum, you know?
You're interacting with everyone, clients, underwriters,
Colleagues, even people from different departments.
and they all have their own perspectives, their own priorities.
You have to be able to navigate that.
So you need to be able to build relationships.
Communication is key.
Be open, be able to negotiate
Collaborate, that's a big one.
because you're all working towards the same goal.
Right, it's a team effort.
Even in a data-driven world, you still need that human connection.
It's what makes everything run smoothly.
RoleCatcher had some really good advice on actually getting hired.
They talked about tailoring your CV
Oh yeah, that's so important.
and really nailing the interview.
Those are the make or break moments
They specifically mentioned using their platform.
to align your experience with what the job needs.
Right, you have to speak their language.
Because a generic CV, that's not going to cut it.
No way, you need to stand out.
Show them you've done your research
That you understand the role.
and that you really want to be part of their team.
Enthusiasm goes a long way.
RoleCatcher also stressed how important it is to prepare for the interview.
Absolutely, you can't just wing it.
What kind of preparation are we talking about?
RoleCatcher's platform has a lot of resources.
They have sample interview questions and answers.
Specifically for this role, insurance risk consultant.
Wow, that's really helpful.
It is. It helps you get into the right mindset.
So you know what to expect.
You can practice your answers.
Project confidence, that's key.
Preparation is key. I like it.
It's the difference between just showing up.
And actually being ready to impress.
Okay, let's say you get the job. Congratulations.
What's next?
What does the career path look like?
RoleCatcher outlines a pretty typical progression.
You start at the entry level,
Okay.
assisting senior consultants, doing research,
Maybe even some field work.
getting your hands dirty.
Exactly. You're learning the ropes.
And then what?
As you gain
You
experience,
move up,
Right.
junior consultant, then mid-level,
you get more responsibility.
managing your own projects.
Exactly. And maybe even leading a team.
Wow. So there's definitely room for growth.
Oh, yeah, if you're willing to work for it.
It sounds like it all comes down to experience.
And expertise. You have to prove yourself.
What about certifications?
Oh, those are huge.
RoleCatcher mentioned a few.
Could you tell me more about those?
Sure, there's the Certified Insurance Risk Manager, this CRM.
Cost?
That one focuses on enterprise risk management.
So you're learning how to manage risk for the whole company.
Exactly, from top to bottom.
What else is there?
There's the Associate in Risk Management, the ARM.
Okay.
That one's more about the technical stuff.
The nitty-gritty of risk assessment.
Exactly.
Aren't any others.
And then there's the Chartered Property Casualty Underwriter.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a big one, the CPCU.
What's that one all about?
That's the gold standard for property and casualty insurance.
So if you want to work in that area,
That's the certification to have.
they sound really valuable.
They are. They show that you're serious
That you're committed to your profession
and that you're keeping up with the latest developments.
because things are changing so fast.
Exactly. You have to stay ahead of the curve.
RoleCatcher also talked about networking.
They mentioned the Global Association of Risk Professionals, JORAR.
Oh, yeah. Jurup's great.
What's so good about it?
It's all about connecting with other professionals,
The people who understand what you're going through.
sharing knowledge, bouncing ideas around.
Staying up to date on industry trends.
It's like a support system for risk professionals.
Exactly. You're all in it together.
We've talked a lot about the human side of this job.
But I'm really curious about the technology aspect.
Right. It's becoming more and more important.
RoleCatcher mentioned data analytics, even drones.
Yeah, they're changing the game.
So what does all this technology mean for someone who wants to be an insurance risk consultant?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's definitely changing the landscape.
How so?
Think about drones. They can do property surveys now.
Really?
Yeah, and they're fast, accurate.
They can see things that humans might miss.
That's incredible.
And then there's data analytics.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
It's revolutionizing everything.
How we identify risk, how we analyze it.
How we manage it, everything.
So is technology a friend or foe?
It's a tool.
Okay.
A very powerful tool, but still just a tool.
What do you mean?
It can do amazing things.
It can automate tasks, make us more efficient.
Give us insights we never had before.
Well,
But it can't replace us entirely.
it can't replace human judgment.
Exactly, or critical thinking.
Or the ability to build trust with clients.
Those are still human skills.
So it's about finding that balance.
Right, leveraging the technology,
but not letting it take over.
Exactly. Keep the human element front and center.
That makes sense.
So if you're interested in this field,
You need to be tech savvy,
learn the tools, understand the data,
but don't forget those essential human skills.
communication, critical thinking, problem solving,
Emotional intelligence, all that good stuff.
because those are the things that make you irreplaceable.
Wow. This has been a really eye-opening deep dive.
It's a fascinating field.
We've covered so much ground.
The ins and outs of being an insurance risk consultant.
It's more than just a job.
It's about protecting people, businesses,
Making the world a little bit safer.
and more secure, financially speaking.
Exactly.
For anyone listening who's intrigued by the world of risk
Who wants a career that's challenging, rewarding?
and always evolving,
This could be it.
this deep dive has just scratched the surface, really.
There's always more to learn.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions.
And you might just surprise yourself.
You never know where your curiosity might lead you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you in the next episode.